I've been going around and talking to a lot of the chiefs, just getting to know them and figuring out a little bit more about them. And of course, where it comes to the committees. So I like to start this off pretty easy because it's really just a chat between the two of us.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Derek Peddycord. I am from Chicago Heights, Illinois. I was born and raised there, which is a adjacent town to Glenwood. I went to Bloom Township High School, graduated in class of 1992. After that, I went to the service. I wanted to serve, so I joined the United States Navy. I wanted to travel and adventure, so I did that. I was active duty for 5 years. I came back to this area, started working security jobs, while also testing to be a police officer. I grew up kind of, always wanted to be a police officer, as, watching Chips and Starsky and Hutch, those things. So I always wanted to, I wanted a career with, a little less ordinary, a little more adventure, something. I did not want to be, stuck in a desk to start with. That was for sure. So I started out with the Glenwood Police Department as a patrol officer. Then I became a detective, and then after that, I got promoted as sergeant. Went back to the street for a little while. I loved my first half of my career. I loved, just doing police work. I'd say that honestly, I enjoyed the helping people part of it for certain, but I was, and the colleagues that I ran with, we were more for we were running gun and chasing the bad. We wanted to catch bad guys, go after the guns and drugs, I got fortunate. I was on a Salisbury Major Crimes Task Force, so I got to work homicides. So I really just enjoying, police work. I had absolutely no intention for administration. What happened, how I got on the chief's path is I was probably the only sergeant who was not out of town on vacation when we had a sudden chief's vacancy. The mayor at the time came to me and said, "All right, Sergeant, you're the only person of rank here. We're a small department, about 25 people. We need you to be the interim chief for a few weeks while we do a search and get another chief in here." Okay, all right. Fortunately, I had been through staff and command, so I had that knowledge there that was helped me tremendously. And then what I thought was going to be a couple weeks turned into about a year. And so by that time, I could not wait to get back to being a detective sergeant. And I did that. I did an interim chief for about a year, went back to investigations. A couple years later, same predicament again. And I must have done a decent job because they came and asked me would I be the interim chief for another stint for a couple months while they did a search, and I did that. And they brought in Chief Demetrius Cook as the full-time chief, and he asked me if I wanted to remain on as a deputy chief. And at that point, I was hesitant because I truly enjoyed being in investigation division and doing that kind of work, but he gave me the opportunity to oversee the investigation division and also remain part of our area attack unit and be part of the training cadre and oversee that. Well, that's a deal I just can't pass up. So fast forward 10 years as a deputy chief. Chief Cook retires from Glenwood, and the mayor chose to appoint me as a chief, and it's been about a little over 4 years now. So that's how my path to this position came to be.
How long have you served in law enforcement?
This is my 24th year.
What changed your mind really about, because you were saying originally you weren't wanting to be a chief at all, you just want to stick to that. What really changed your mind to make you want to go with the chief position?
Well, when I became the chief, or about that, I had about 20 years on the job. So I had realized at that time, we had new officers coming in, and as much as I wanted to stay part of the investigations, the high-speed stuff, I knew that it was time, the time had passed where the torch was passed on to them, and I wanted to be able to better the department, to better them, the new officers, to help develop them, and to watch, the department grow. And with my knowledge of the town, I felt I could, be in a good position to help the town and the officers in the village continue to move forward in a positive direction,
That's great. It sounds like you're in the right place at the right time with all of this.
Yeah.
And you still get to do what you love, and that's great, which is helping people.
Exactly.
So what kind of schooling did you do for the position? You said something that you've done some training with leadership and things like that, but what kind of degrees did you pursue originally, or did you pursue once you obtained the positions?
Originally, I was fortunate that the chief at the time, when myself and a few other officers made sergeant, Chief Kevin Welsh, he put us all through staff and command, and that was a good foundation to build upon. And then further on, we also went through the executive developments through Northwestern. When I became the chief, another great program that I went through was actually the ILACP chief certification process. So preparing and going through that, really helped me, learn, expose me to different ideas or different topics that I wasn't 100% familiar with, or, it brought to light new things. So that was just even preparing for that whole program and going through it was a great learning process, as well as attending the new chief's police orientation. I did that shortly after being appointed chief, and even to this day, I reference all those classes and all the materials as things come up along the way.
What training would you say is key for officers wanting to become a chief?
Well-rounded training, everything from community policing topics are great. Any leadership or supervisory skill courses that you can take. I like if you have experience, through critical incident training. If you're familiar with how homicide investigations are run, those are important. Certainly criminal justice programs.
So that kind of brings me up to another point. Who have been some of your mentors when it came to just going through the ranks of law enforcement? Who really stuck out in your mind as being someone who made a huge difference in your career?
Okay, well, I would have to. I'm afraid I'm gonna leave somebody out. I've had a lot of great mentors throughout the years. Starting out with one of my first FTOs, Bill Cranston. He taught me a lot as a new officer. The sergeants I worked with at the time, Deputy Chief Al DeMar, who retired from the Glenwood Police Department. Most recently, obviously, I served under Chief Demetrius Cook. I got to work directly under him for 10 years. So he was, a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience I learned from him. We worked together through a lot of problems. So, and there's, various chiefs throughout our whole network that, we all help each other, and I learn from them. We bounce ideas off of each other's head, because at some point, the problems that I have or they have, someone's came across and, they solved it one way or the other. So we always get good advice from each other. There's, I'd have to, I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm sure I have, officers from other agencies. I even learned, to this day, I still believe, it's better to be green and growing than ripe and rotting. So even if there's a new officer that comes, fresh out of the academy, if he goes to a new class that was developed within the past couple of years, I'm going to ask him about it, and he's going to tell me things that, I'll learn from that, and maybe I'll, research the topic more. So there's wealth can be knowledge you can gain, from the more experienced even to the new officers. Everybody's got something to offer. I try to learn something new every day. I'm sure everybody says that, but it's important to realize that you can get information from, certainly your more senior chiefs who have been experienced. You can't discount that, and even the newer officers and everyone in between.
Continued education is such an important thing for all positions, but especially in your department when it comes to law enforcement, because things are always changing. Laws are always changing, as we found out this year. Things are always changing. So continued education is so important. It's one of the things I want to focus on here as Deputy Director of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. I think that'll even be a big issue in our next magazine that comes out here this spring. So I love that you're all about the education and continuing it and continuing to learn. It's such a big, important thing. How long have you been with the association?
Probably 10 years or so, at least. As started out as a deputy chief, and then I had membership as a deputy chief, and then I continued on to the current.
So that brings me to the next topic. I mean, this is a committee spotlight after all, but I do like to highlight the people who are chairing those committees because your career is so expansive and you have so much knowledge to share with everyone. And I love just to get to know all the chiefs out there. That's a constant work in progress, but everyone I've met has been so wonderful and so interesting. So I do like to start them off that way. So you are the chair of the awards committee with the Association of Chiefs of Police. How long have you been the chair of that committee?
I'd say I've just completed my first year. I came on at the in early 2022.
What do you think so far?
It's a great chair because we get to see all the good stuff, all the extraordinary and heroic work that our officers throughout the state are doing. If I had not been in this position, I might not be aware of something that someone in Southern Illinois does, or something in the far northeast corner or northwest corner does. But part of this chair, we get the submissions for the award nominations. We get to read through those and just read what's happening, and it's a lot of great things are being done through officers throughout the state.
What are some of the goals that you have as the chair of the awards committee as you enter in kind of the second year of your term? What are some of the goals that the awards committee has?
Well, we want to continue to promote and grow the program, as well as raise awareness and participation in the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. What we started out last year, myself and the fellow committee members, we thought that there were a couple of categories that weren't recognized, and so we worked with the committee or the board, and we got a couple of new award categories put in there, being the meritorious unit commendation or citation for task forces. We got an investigator award put in there, as well as a ILACP participation with the NAACP, like the 10 Shared Principles Award, which is important to put in there. So those were some things we wanted to get done last year, and we got them done. But moving forward, we want to continue to put out the good work that the officers are doing to raise, trying to do it as public as possible to make the citizens of the state, aware of the good work that is, to promote our law enforcement. It's good for public relations, also, recruitment, retention, especially at this period of time. We need to highlight the good work that's being done to counter some of the negative aspects that are out there that sometimes get highlighted. Unfortunately, nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. So we want to put our good work out there and showcase that. Another important thing that we do on the committee is we each act independently of each other. We review it. We want to make sure that we maintain the value and integrity of the awards themselves. We just don't want to rubber stamp awards, but we'll vet them to make sure that they're all deserving and to keep the standards in place.
So this coming year, what's a big goal for this one? You just did all those new awards, but what's coming up next? What's next for the awards committee?
Well, to continue to spread the word, to gain membership, to get more and more departments to participate and submit their nominations for these awards. Now we have them in place. Now we want to get the nominations for them so we can recognize those who fall into this category, into the new awards and the past awards that were still out there, and to make sure that the officers are recognized, for their outstanding work.
So how do you plan to achieve that goal this year? Are you guys going to be doing anything special to kind of put the word out a little bit more or to get more of those nominations?
Going to work with you on our social media presence to get that out at the various Chiefs meetings that we all go to. Through networking and social media, and just embracing the modern technology. More than word of mouth. But throughout the publications, through the magazine that comes out.
And that kind of coincides with my next question, which is, what are some of the biggest challenges of the awards committee?
Well, a good challenge that we have is we get a lot of good submissions for the extraordinary work that's being done out there. So that's a good problem to have to go through there and determine what awards are to be presented and given out. Again, making sure that we keep the integrity of the awards as well.
What process do you go through when it comes to keeping that integrity of the awards and the people who are nominated that you end up choosing?
Well, every person every chief that submits a nomination has to submit supporting documentation, reports, any news clippings, sometimes we get videos of incidents we can review, and each of us will get a spreadsheet of all the nominations, what the officer is being nominated for, and we also have a criteria checklist that we can compare what we're reviewing to the criteria, and then we all make a determination. There's 5 of us, and so if the majority award someone something, then that's what we go with. We don't get together, we don't influence each other's decision. How it gets disseminated out from me, and then it gets sent back to me, and I just go through to make sure to tally who gets to make sure that every candidate for the award has the appropriate acknowledgments from the members, and if so, they are awarded that, or we recommend to the board that they receive said award.
Switching gears just a little bit, we're going to just go to law enforcement in general. What challenge do you see police departments facing today?
May or may not have heard about the recruitment and retention issue, but that is a big one. That's one of the challenges I'm sure we're all facing, and as we talked about at the meeting back in I think last month in Springfield, we need to maybe look at how our military is doing its recruitment and do something like possibly do that for the state, where we just recruit for law enforcement as a career for the whole, maybe not specifically, each department is recruiting for themselves now. Maybe we get the Chiefs Association of the state as a whole to recruit for the general profession in general, to get these young people who are going to be the future of tomorrow's law enforcement into these fields. We have to look at doing things. Some towns have college requirements, which I'm not opposed to. We have that. We recently got rid of that, not because we don't think it's important, but we've come to find out that there are candidates who could be good officers that we're excluding by having that requirement. For example, we could have someone who's 22 or 23 that recently just finished their tour of duty in the military, but has not yet accomplished those college requirements, but could be a good candidate to become here. That's why we offer at our department continuing education support. So officers who can be hired, start going through school, they get reimbursement through the village. So that's one thing, but we also have to make sure that we keep our standards high. You can't lower the bar, because if you do that, you get bad policing. We have to find creative ways to get people in here without lowering our standards.
Continued education, again, just such an important thing, and to make sure you're getting people in and helping them get that continued education is huge.
Absolutely.
I think it's a bold, smart move on department's part to be able to hire some of these who might not meet the bachelor's degree requirement, but then help them achieve those goals. I think that's very important. You guys are doing commendable work with that. well, this kind of transitions to the next question I have. I know the challenges that we're facing today with departments is recruitment and retention. So what do you think the future is going to look like when it comes to policing?
I think that we're going to see more automation. Possibly, you can't replace a human officer, but maybe you can replace, a human officer doing a stakeout for certain things, such as you're probably already seeing the LPR license plate reader cameras coming up, the shot detection devices. Those are all tools that are to help supplement departments, your agencies, by not having a physical officer there, but the objective data is getting collected. Again, technology is going to keep moving forward, and as that advances to an extent, it's becoming an expectation when it comes to juries, state's attorneys, and the public, that some of that stuff exists when it might not always exist for every case. So that's another challenge. Technology is great when it's there, but there's sometimes we find that when it's not there, that's just not a good enough explanation for someone. If we say, hey, there's just literally no cameras or no shot spotter in this area, so it's overcoming that can be a challenge for some instances. But, again, technology, I think, is, obviously we're seeing it now, is going to continue to grow, and we're going to have to be adaptable and come to, and go adapt along with it, which, we've had one of the things that the Safety Act, the requirements of the body cameras, we've had body cameras at our agency since 2018, and they're just a great tool. They help tremendously, whether it's, evidence at a crime scene, documenting interactions between officers and citizens. I can't say enough good stuff about the experience we've had with them.
That's great. We're wrapping things up just a little bit, and I like to kind of go with, do you have any tips or words of wisdom for chiefs?
Well, I've only been a chief for 4 years, but what I can say is networking is important. Attending the chief's meetings whenever you can. I know that in the chief spot, you have a lot of meetings, and sometimes it's just about meetings to happen when we're going to have the next meeting about. But it is good to get together and attend these meetings with your peers, to bounce ideas, to troubleshoot problems, because what's happened to me has probably happened to some other agency, or the challenge that I have, somebody else along the way has had that challenge, or another chief might point me in the right direction. And it's good just to know that you're not, sometimes you could feel like you're on an island by yourself, but when you get out amongst your peers, it's good to hear that. It's good for your morale. Again, I can't say enough good things about going through the ILACP voluntary chief certification process. The study, the preparation, the studying that I did for the new chiefs, so if you haven't gone through, there's a great value in that, and it gives you a lot of resources at hand to have, from legal matters to labor law. It's a great program. I highly recommend that. Also, the new chiefs orientation. Again, keep learning. Again, you can, like I said, you can learn something new every day, from the most senior officers, most senior chiefs, to the new officers. They all bring something along. Always, the best thing, build and develop your staff, and always your officers, help them whenever you can, whether it's something personal or professional life, help them, and that'll come back, tremendously, build morale. And that's a great thing to do. Whenever, if you have an opportunity to help an officer, for example, one officer's car broke down, recently. So we let him take his squad home for the night to get home, so we didn't have to rent a car or taxi or something like that. Just the little things like that, or even bigger things when need be, if you can, within reason. Continue to develop and train your department, because overall that will help every chief out. The better and more professionally developed the department is worth its weight in gold. And then not lastly, but another key thing is community policing. You have to make sure you develop and cultivate relationships with your residents, your businesses, your schools, and all stakeholders that are in the community you serve. Community partnerships events such as National Night Out, Shop with a Cop, Coffee with a Cop, with Lunch with the Law. We do those things. We do Cops and Bobbers, where we take our school kids fishing a couple times a year. Those are great. Whatever you want to do, to build a stockpile of support from your community. That's important, because the police department and the community working together is a force multiplier, and we all have the same common goals to have a safe community where people can work, live in peace, and enjoy themselves. So that's my rant.
I wouldn't say it's a rant, it's your passion. That's what I would say. Is there anything else you'd like to add when it comes to policing or the awards committee before we kind of sign off?
Consider, look back at the past year for the chiefs to their officers, and if they think that they have officers who are deserving awards, please submit your submissions, your nominations to us. And that's about it. And I just thank the other officers who are on my committee, Deputy Chief Wilbanks, Deputy Chief Chris LaRue from South Holland, Chief Leanne Schleppus of Frankfurt, and retired Chief Mike Gillette from Round Lake.